So what to do if they break up with you, but even during the breakup, they're not sure that they want it? A lot of times I talk to people and they'll say, the funny thing is when they were breaking up with me, they cried. They really had a hard time letting go. They even said during the breakup, I'm not sure if I want this. I don't know if I'm going to regret this later. I'm afraid I'm making a mistake. Sometimes they'll even go back on the breakup immediately, but then immediately after that, stick to the breakup. So if you're in that situation, it's particularly challenging and it can be in some ways even more of a painful process than somebody that just absolutely tells you they don't want to be with you anymore. At least with that clear-cut, defined break, you know what you're facing. And this one, it's more of a challenge. So here's what you do. In that moment, it's going to be really difficult. Chances are that moment's already passed. If you know that moment's coming or you sense that a breakup's coming, then I'll go ahead and tell you to prepare for that by giving them the breakup. Don't do it from a place of anger. Don't do it from a place of heartbreak. You can be transparent about how you're feeling. But what I mean by that is say, well, this isn't something that I would have chosen. It's not something that I would want. But hey, reassure them, as crazy as that sounds. But hey, listen, if you're not sure that you want to be with me, as much as you mean to me, as much as I love you, I don't want to be with somebody that isn't sure they want to be with me. Now, if you want to talk about some issues, if there's some challenges, if there's something in our relationship that you're not certain about, let's have that conversation. By all means, you can have that conversation. But if they're telling you that they think they need to break up with you because they're not sure how they feel, they're not sure if maybe they're interested in somebody else, or they're future casting potential mistakes and problems that might happen, so they're telling you they want to break up with you, then give them the breakup. What can happen is, and I've used this metaphor before, but look at your relationship like a house. If somebody's telling you that they want to break up with you, they're basically telling you, I still have feeling for you, but I don't know if we should be in this house together. The last thing you want to do, but the thing you're going to feel the strongest compulsion to do, is to go out the front door, but then camp out on the porch. In other words, when you're talking to them, trying to convince them to let you stay in that relationship or let you stay in that house, then what you're doing is giving them the reassurance that they haven't lost you. Well, it's really hard to have a sense of loss. It's really hard to have this sense of regret, and even to trigger the fear that drives the attraction to make them come back if they don't feel like they've ever lost you. In other words, if I were to ask them, hey, are you second guessing this decision to break up with them? Well, I am a little bit, but I feel better because they're right there. They're on the porch. Look, I can look out the front window and I can see they're sending me emails. They're sending me text. They keep saying, hey, can we talk about this? A lot of times, look back in your life or talk to friends who have been in this similar situation. What will happen when they break up with you, but they're not sure they want to break up? If you seize on that little bit of relationship or that little bit of attraction or uncertainty that they have and try to blow it into a flame, try to build it into this passion, like, well, they're not sure they want to be with me, so let me see if I can talk them back into it. You'll actually drain whatever remaining affection, passion, or attraction that they have left. Why? That doesn't seem to make sense. You're draining it because you're, again, reassuring them they haven't lost you. How can they second guess losing something that they haven't lost? So remind yourself, if this is coming up, remind yourself if they're not sure they want to be with you, that you want to give them a sense of loss. As a matter of fact, in that moment, the more you can embrace it, and I know that sounds illogical, and to a lot of you it's going to sound like I'm encouraging you to be a phony. I'm not. I'm not trying to encourage you to be a phony. I'm trying to get you to remember who you are when you're at your most confident, who you are underneath that pain, underneath that anxiety of the moment. Because the truth is, when we're acting out of anxiety, when we're acting out of fear and desperation, that's not the most attractive version of us. In other words, if somebody broke up with me and they told me the exact situation we're talking about today, and they said, I'm not sure that I want to be with you, but I'm not sure I want to lose you, and I just don't know what to do. If I say something like, well, gosh, this would be a real waste. I think we belong together, and if you just give me one more try and just tell me what I need to change and just tell me what we need to do, then I think we could be really great together. Look, that might talk them into it momentarily, but what I just told them is that even though I know they're not confident that I'm the person for them, I don't need to know that to be with them. I'm just so grateful to be with them that I'll take whatever I can get. And that's not actually attractive. And it's I'm becoming the training wheels for them to emotionally and mentally start to prepare to live life without me. Now they know that I know they're not even certain about how they feel about me. But I'm so lacking in my own sense of resilience, my own sense of confidence, my own sense of my own value of life. I'm essentially choosing to place myself into a position where I'm auditioning daily for the right to stay in their life. In other words, well, what do you need from me? You need this? Okay, check. What else do you need? You need this, this, and this? Okay, well, I'm going to work on those things now. Just for the right to stay in your life, I'm now on a daily basis auditioning to see if you find enough value in me to stay. Nothing about that is attractive. On the other hand, if somebody's breaking up with me and I say, okay, wow, I didn't see that coming, but hey, listen, I appreciate the honesty. I'm glad that you're telling me this. Am I glad we're breaking up? Absolutely not. Does it hurt? Of course it hurts. But let me reassure you, as much as I love you, as much as you mean to me, and as painful as this is, I don't actually want to be with anyone who isn't certain they want to be with me. In other words, I have a minimal boundary. I have a minimal expectation of the person that I'm with. And that's that they know they want to be with me. The second I'm trying to convince them, the second I'm trying to hold on to them, I'm actually framing my love and affection as coming from a place of dependence and weakness. And that's not attractive. Like, I love my wife with all my heart, but if she said she wasn't sure if she wanted to be with me, then as much as that hurts, that's all the information I need to know that I don't want to be with her. Now, I'm not talking about just living off of emotion. I mean, everybody's going to have days in a relationship where you're not sure how you feel in that moment. But underneath the emotion of that moment, there should be a knowledge, a decision, a choice, a conviction, a determination, whatever word you want to use, that lets you know, no matter how challenging that moment is, no matter how emotional I feel in that moment, I still know I'm committed and invested to being with you. If they don't have that, you don't have the base foundation that you need for a relationship. And the more you try to hold on to that little bit that you have, the more you're going to guarantee that you drain it. One of the most confusing aspects is that after a breakup, pity, guilt, and sympathy are actually attraction drainers. Now, they feel good, but when somebody knows that they feel guilt because they broke your heart, they feel sympathy because they've caused you pain. And the more you're using that as the last lifeline, the last connection to stay in their life, the more you're actually draining the attraction that they feel for you. Think about the people in your life. Do this little test for me in your mind. Imagine that you're breaking up with somebody. And after you break up with them, they say, oh, wow, I didn't know this was coming. Please give me another chance. I didn't even know you were unhappy. What do I need to do to fix this? What do I do to make it up to you? Tell me whatever I need to do and I'll do it. Now, all of that's going to make you feel good. It's going to give you a sense of value. It's going to make you feel wanted, maybe even cherished. But is it actually driving up your attraction? If anything, now you know that even if you follow through with a breakup, they're available. Going back to that house metaphor, you know, even if you stick to the breakup, that if you want to reach out to them, they're going to be available for you. If you want to second guess it later, you can walk back the decision later. But right now, in that moment, you're actually going to get a sense of power, a sense of control, a sense of authority in the relationship that maybe you didn't have before. A lot of times in this situation, that person breaking up with you, maybe they weren't in the power position of the relationship for the majority of the time. And now just by telling you that they're second guessing everything, they've kind of claimed that position. That's a very seductive and addictive position to be in. And people that aren't used to being there throughout the course of the relationship find it very hard to give back. So if you're telling them, well, tell me what I need to do. Tell me what I need to change. I want to stay in this relationship. You're actually reassuring them that they have the power. And it's much more addictive and easier for them to stay in that position and start saying things like, no, I appreciate that. And I know it's not fair. And I know I don't want to do this. And I hate that I'm hurting you. But they're pushing you away because they're losing more emotional attraction for you. And it's probably the same for you, like I said, if you imagine yourself in that position. But now imagine you're breaking up with somebody and they say, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. Still catches them off guard. But as much as it hurts and as much as it's kind of left me feeling rocked, I'm glad you told me. I don't want you walking around dating me or being with me out of what, obligation? Out of fear of hurting me? No. Look, I appreciate the thought. I appreciate that sentiment. But I know my worth. I know my value, and honestly, the bare minimum expectation I have for being with anyone is that they know they want to be with me. If that's not you, thank you for being honest, because you'd be trapping both of us. Anytime you have a chance to hand back pity, sympathy, or guilt, give it back, because it's draining the attraction. When you give it back in that moment, now imagine that somebody tells you that. Imagine that when somebody's breaking up with you, imagine while you're breaking up with somebody and they say something like what I just described. If they said something like, well, I didn't really see this coming, and I admit it caught me off guard, but hey, if this isn't the relationship for you, thanks for being honest. I want to be with somebody excited to be with me. As soon as you know that the person that you're breaking up with is strong enough resilient enough, and is excited about other options other than you, you're probably going to second guess that decision. Because when somebody else finds value without you, suddenly you have a sense of loss. Suddenly you're starting to wonder. Human nature is connected to ego, fear of loss, fear of regret. If you're breaking up with somebody and they seem not only, sad about the breakup, but willing to move on without you, and they start talking and acting like they know they're going to be happy with somebody else, suddenly you imagine them with somebody else, and suddenly you're thinking, uh-oh, what if I regret this? What if I'm making a mistake? What if after I break up with them, they connect with somebody else, end up marrying that other person, and now I have to spend the rest of my life wondering if I missed out on the love of my life? Now you're triggering that fear of loss, which has been proved to trigger this re-examination impulse. So just take a deep breath and remember, if somebody's breaking up with you and they're not sure, if you want to feed that doubt, if you want to feed that insecurity that breaking up with you might not be the right move, then project strength. It doesn't mean you're fake. It doesn't mean you're fake if you're pretending that you have more strength than you feel. I don't always feel strong. I don't always feel good. I don't always feel confident. I'm human. Sometimes it's a choice. But look at it this way. If somebody broke into my office right now and they set me on fire because I'm in pain, in the middle of that pain, I'm going to feel weak. I'm going to overreact. My language, my attitude, my wording, everything is going to change. I'm going to be an extreme version of me, and it's not going to seem like a strong version of me because in that moment, I'm in pain. After a breakup, you're in pain. So stop thinking how you feel a compulsion to act after a breakup is the truest version of you. That's just who you are when you're in overwhelming agony in the moment. Remember how you act when you're not being flooded with fear, loss, anxiety, doubt, rejection. Remember who you are then and just choose to act like that version of yourself, even if the emotion in the moment tells you otherwise, because that version of you is actually way more authentic. It's also way more attractive. So take a deep breath. Don't give them pity, sympathy, or guilt. Hand it back to them if they start to show it to you. So take a deep breath. I hope this helps. And let me know if I can help. I do one-on-one calls, and especially with this situation, which can be more challenging. And obviously, again, you're going to have a compulsion to try to nurture and grow that sense of loss by staying close to them. Don't stay close to them. Give them your absence.